All right. So this next panel is actually something that's quite close to my heart, and it's when passion turns into obsession, and we're talking about well-being and business growth, which can be at risk. So for our last but not least session of the day, our esteemed panelists analyse the mindset of fake it till you make it and the mental health challenges that entrepreneurs are facing in today's startup world. So please join me in welcoming our moderator, Lissele Pratt, CGO and co-founder at Capitalixe. Lissele, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for coming here and joining us. Such a pleasure to have you all. So I'll give an introduction about me and then I'll let the panelists introduce themselves because they do it always better than I do. So I'm Lissele, co-founder of Capitalixe. We are a fintech consulting firm specialized in helping medium and high-risk industries to obtain trustworthy and reliable payments and banking solutions. I am also a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree, podcast host of Success Secrets, and Fintech Businesswoman of the Year. Thank you. And would you like to go next, Charul?
Sure. How is everyone today? Are you here with us? Yeah? Okay. My name is Charul Jaitly. I'm the co-founder of a company called Mātiti Group. Mātiti really means connecting the dots. And what we really wanted to do was we wanted to go into the organization and enable them to connect the dots so that they do not work fragmented. And for us, the key pieces in those are people, technology, finances, and security. So our business is diversified into 4 verticals: Mātiti People, Mātiti Tech, Mātiti Green, and Mātiti Finance. And what we do through these verticals is we enable our client group to understand what are the areas of development from their people side of strategy, from financial strategy, from technological advancement, and then of course, something which is the talk of the town is sustainability, right? How can they operate across the board and ensure they're sustainable? A little bit about myself. I'm a keynote speaker. I go around the world and I talk about subjects which I'm really passionate about, which is things like these: mental health at work. I'm a TEDx speaker and a best-selling author. If there is anything you'd like to know, find me and catch me later. Thank you.
My name is Fizza Sabir. Right now I'm in the corporate world. I am not in a startup environment, but prior to that I was. I have over 20 years of corporate HR, people and culture experience around the world. And well-being is very close to my heart because it is at the core of everything. I'm also a passionate networker. I have a very big networking forum here in the UAE, comprising over 1,000 active HR members in Saudi, in the UAE as well. And I am really interested in fintech, real estate, as well as health and nutrition. So pleasure to be here.
Wow, what inspirational ladies. You guys are doing amazing things. And I can't wait to delve in deeper into your world on work-life balance, how you guys manage everything, and get to know you guys more on a personal level. So we'll start with you, Charul. Each of you has been part of the startup ecosystem or business ecosystem in different capacities. Can you share a moment when you personally struggled with burnout or felt your well-being was at risk, and how you navigated through this?
Okay. As much as we want to talk about work and failed projects and unrealized dreams, for me that moment happened on a personal level. Like Fizza, I've had the opportunity of working in the world of HR for the last 18 years. I've been in this beautiful country of UAE for the last 21 years, would you believe? And there came a point where I started to feel unwell. There were all the signs all around me, from mental health to physical health, also emotional health. And these are 3 different entities, whether you like it or not. And when I sit back and reflect on my time, not too long back, it started to trigger around 2012. And then it started to flare up, only for me to realize in 2015, I survived a 6 hours long surgery. And boy, oh boy, I was still not willing to accept it. I came out of it with God's grace. I survived. I aced it. I thought I have it under control. And I continued to race forward with the same grit, same determination, same zeal, same power. I continued to press the pedal. And guess what? I had a burnout. I crashed in 2021 again. And this time, my surgery lasted 9.5 hours. And there came a point where I had to just stop. Now, that does not mean everybody should go through this. That does not mean your story will be similar to mine. The idea behind sharing this, and I really, really love the topic, is we are on this endless pursuit of excellence. Define excellence. Can anybody here define excellence? And if I give you the opportunity, what are the chances that your definition will be identical to the person sitting next to you? It's all here, right? We all define, we all benchmark ourselves in a certain way. And I was making this similar, I would not call it a mistake. I would say my own definition, which was a little skewed, not aligned with my body, mind, and my health expectations. So my advice here, or my learning from that was, do not slow down on your dreams. Do not compromise on your vision. Do not realign your strategies, but be kinder to yourself. I think, like I said, in this ace or this pursuit to excellence, what we kind of forget is, where do we pull the brakes? How much of a gap do we need to take? What does this mean? Do I need to re-strategize? Do I need to realign? Do I need to look for support? Do I need to delegate? And the list goes on. And I think we will delve into what needs to be done to prevent it. But truly, 2015, there was a blow. It was literally my life slapping me across the face saying, hey, girl, get a grip on this, right? But it comes to each one of us in our own way. And the learning here is, heed those signs. Listen to what your mind, your body, your heart is telling you. Because it is there to support you, not slow you down. And if we align with those elements of our own selves, I think it's going to be a much healthier, more nurturing journey ahead. So I'll take a pause there.
Wow, Charul, crazy about your surgery and how you had to go through that to realize that you were burnt out and at your lowest point. I mean, that's health is wealth at the end of the day, and I'm sure now you realize that because, I mean, you don't want to be going through that, right? It's terrible and it's stressful and it's not good for your mental health. And I think I love what you mentioned about we have to listen to our own bodies, because I've realized this, and I've gone through burnout many times during my building my business, where my body is telling me to stop, to take a pause, but I just keep going because I like the feeling of just pushing myself to the limit, but it...
Listen to this. Yeah. This is important, right? Yeah. We almost indulge in that feeling,
it's
right?
It's an addiction.
Yes,
it's like a hustle addiction.
Yes, yes.
And it's not healthy.
No.
Well, and to be honest, there's another thing, right? If you're building a startup, at the end of the day, sometimes you do have to go through those things to get to a good level, but you also have to realize your limits. I think that's really important. So Fizza, onto this topic, what would you have to say?
I'll also share my personal experience, and the references are made not to my current organization, but the previous startup in fintech here in Dubai, in the IFC. Due to overwhelming work demands, expansion, different time zones, hiring, recruitment, and etc. So I was trying to prove something to someone and to prove to myself that I can do that. You know, long working hours, no weekends, and keeping in mind I'm a mom of 3, so managing that family side as well. I totally forgot about my health, my well-being, my eating, sleeping habits. But after a while, I realized I just couldn't continue like that, because I was seeing the signs of burnout, and it was not doing good to myself nor to the company, because I was lacking concentration, motivation, performance, moody. There are so many signs that you can see. And I just had to learn to say no to the things that can wait till tomorrow or till the next week, set healthy boundaries around myself, and also, prioritize what I need to do. and go back to being mindful around myself, self-care, self-love. I mean, thankfully, I didn't end up, through, surgeries, etc. But I realized it was a wake-up call for myself that I need to look after.
Wow. And there's a saying that I've created that people that feel their best are the ones that perform at their best as well. And I'm very big on this with my team, that I always say employees that feel at their best are the ones that are going to perform better. So I'm very big with work-life balance and taking care of their mental health and knowing their limits and things like that. So I like how you guys have mentioned about the importance of this, because at the end of the day, like you mentioned, you are moody. If you're feeling burnt out, you're not in a good mood, you're tired, you're not going to be at full capacity, and when unless you're feeling good and doing things that are good for yourself, So on to the next question, Charul. Why do you think mental health challenges and burnout are so prevalent among entrepreneurs? Is it due to the startup culture itself, or are there broader societal factors at play?
Okay. It's a very big question, and I can talk for hours on that. But who here, show me with a raise of hand, how many of you know Muhammad Ali? Muhammad Ali? Almost all of you, right? The wrestler, the boxer, right? Not a wrestler, boxer. When Muhammad Ali decided to become, or let's say he pursued to become the best boxer in the world, he had to step into the ring. If you want to become who you are here to become, you have to get into the game. So there is no skirting the fence around there, right? However, once you're inside the ring, you be prepared for the blows, because they will come punching at you. I'm using this analogy because it's so apt, no matter if you are an entrepreneur, you are a successful business owner, you are a struggling entrepreneur, you are a corporate employee, whoever you are, life will come and throw you punches. I think what's important is how prepared are you to skirt those punches maybe? And if not, if life really, gives you a blow on your face and you find yourself getting knocked out, you must have a strategy to find the courage to bounce back up. Otherwise, my friends, the game is over. And somebody else, a competition or whoever, is going to win. So what's important is, as much as you are upskilling yourself to run your business, to be good at it, to ace the game, it's also important that we realize, should we fail, what is our plan B? How do we mitigate the risks that lie ahead? And if you look at the history of this world not too long back, let's go back to COVID. Let's go back to the financial, crisis, right? What happened? The companies, the organizations, the businesses who did not have a risk mitigation plan, who did not have a plan B, they disappeared from the face of this planet, right? Those who survived were the ones who knew, should this day arrive, I know how to escape that blow. Or if I am beaten down, I know how to bounce right back up. Remember this analogy anytime you're about to introduce a new idea in your business, or you're looking at diversifying your portfolio as a business owner, as a leader of an organization. If you are going into a geographical expansion, look at those risks. Look at what lies ahead in terms of those blows that Muhammad Ali had to fence to become the best boxer in the world. And I think there's so much that can be said and done, but it's all about putting it into practice.
Yeah.
There are endless books and newsletters and white papers written on it, but how much are you willing to imbibe and apply, I think, is what's going to change the game.
I love the analogy of the boxing. I think that makes total sense,
Thank
because
you.
when you're stepping into the business world and entrepreneurship, it is like going into the boxing ring, because you have to train, you have to put yourself out there, you have your competitors, and the ones that are full steam ahead, the ones that keep going and don't stop, are the ones that succeed. So that's why
Absolutely.
there's so much competition to just hustle to the point of burning out, right? But then that's when you end up going to that burnout stage, that's when you'll get left behind.
Yes.
So you have to
Yes.
realize those limits. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to this?
Well, that's a very big question. And think we have
Oh.
Carol to join.
Hey, Carol. Lovely
Hi,
to have you
Carol.
on.
You balance the colors now. Thank you.
Yes, we're all in red. Well, me and you in red. We were just super colourful this panel. I love it.
I'm so sorry for being late. I circled for an hour trying to find parking. Should have planned better.
It's okay. I think we all had a bit of trouble finding. It's a bit confusing. It's all good. All good. So, Carol, actually, this is a question for you. We can start off with you. So, why do you think mental health challenges and burnouts are so prevalent in the startup culture? What do you think the reason for this is? Because there's such a big thing on hustle culture and startups, but people burning out super quickly.
I think that, well, there's many reasons, but a lot of it is that we've romanticized startups and the ability to make money and how exciting it is and all the benefits of it. And we don't talk enough about the reality of it. I mean, actually, how much hard work it is, how lonely it can be, how financially it can be a real struggle in the beginning. And when we don't go in aware of the actual reality of it, then it's a shock, and we keep going, and we see other people are doing amazing and they did it, so I must keep going. And especially when we're passionate about what we do, because most people in startups, they're doing it for passion, that they really believe in the product or the service, and we just keep going. And we often feel very isolated in that no one else seems to be burning out. So it must be something wrong with me, and then we don't seek help, we don't face up to it, and it's a vicious circle then.
Yeah, I like the fact that you said no one else seems to be burning out, but the reality is they may be burning out, but they don't speak about it. And oftentimes it's frowned upon to go through burnout, and hustle culture is glorified, you know. And yeah, it's a glorified thing, but burnout is true, and I've gone through it many times. I'm sure you guys have gone through it, and it's something that we all need to continuously speak about with people to realize that, okay, this is the reality, right? And get people comfortable with the things that they're going through, because mental health is important, but in the business world, it's kind of a conversation that people don't often talk about.
Yeah, and I think I just want to touch on what you said there. We glorify it.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients come to me for that reason. They're like, hard work is a value for me. It's kind of almost like an esteem. I was raised to work hard. And then when we work ourselves too hard, it's very hard to go, oh no, actually, and like that, the support's not there, and we think that we should be able to do this, and it's actually quite dangerous for our mental health.
It's so dangerous. And saying that, I remember one of the first burnouts that I had in the company. I went through a stage where I could not look at my laptop for 2 weeks. I literally had to cover it up, so because I was working in my bedroom, and that's during COVID times. So I was like, this bedroom is toxic. I can't be in this bedroom. It's just everything work. So it got to the point where I was just like, I can't, and I felt sick. And I was like, I can't let this happen again, because if I can't work, I was just building up my business at the time as well. And if I can't work, then I can't make money. And you have to be in a healthy position, because you have to support yourself at the end of the day, don't you? So on to the next question. Mental health, this one's for you, Fizza. Mental health struggles are often stigmatized in the entrepreneurial world. How do we create a safe space for founders to share their challenges without fear of judgment or reputational harm?
Well, to answer that question, Lissele, we need to go back to understand the root cause of the stigma around talking about the well-being and the challenges around. Especially in the world of entrepreneurs, where talking about mental health can be perceived as being weak, whereas resilience, power, and strength are celebrated, right? These traits are celebrated. There's also fear of losing confidence of your investors. Also reputational damage and harm. You talked about isolation, right? A lot of time entrepreneurs, especially at the start up of the venture, they work a lot in isolation, which can also lead to, depression and feeling lonely. There's also a very big element of cultural expectations and managing those expectations. Just a quick statistics, a decade ago, 1 in 8 people probably were suffering from various mental disorders. But today that number is 1 in 4, unfortunately. So, talking about the mental health disorders, we see stress, we see anxiety, we see eating disorders, we see mood swings, burnout, right? It affects your cognitive abilities. It affects your performance, your productivity, your motivation, your relationship with yourself, as well as people around you. So what can we do to address these challenges, especially in the world of startup and entrepreneurs, is really set healthy boundaries, as I said earlier, and hold these conversations and normalize conversations around mental health, that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to share your concern and to create that safe space where entrepreneurs can share their challenges without a fear of being judged or misunderstood. And also we as leaders, we need to promote and cultivate the culture of empathy, compassion, support and understanding.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned that we do need to talk about it more. And there is a lot of stigma that you mentioned about mental health and burnout and everything like that, because it's business, people see it as unprofessional, there's reputational risk. But I think as more people talk about it, like what we're doing on this panel today, and I'm always actively talking about mental health on LinkedIn as well, it kind of reduces the stigma towards it and makes us more human. People buy into people and people can relate to you, and there's a lot of power in vulnerability these days, and as you guys know as well. So yeah, I love that you've mentioned that. And Carol, do you have anything to add to this question?
No, I think you've covered it really, really well. It is true that then, and I love what you said about the power and vulnerability, and thankfully society is starting to accept that more, whereas before vulnerability was a weakness. I think that being authentic and vulnerable actually helps us in our business, which is amazing, which is counterproductive to how it's been in the past. We tried to be something and what we should be and not be vulnerable, and then that led to a lot of burnout and people just giving up, whereas now we get a lot of support when we said, you know what, I'm actually not doing okay. But I think that, especially for women, I think there's a bit of work to be done in the male space for that and their level of burnout and mental health when it comes to being vulnerable. But I think it is, I agree completely, it's an absolute strength.
Yes, but yeah, so much power in vulnerability.
Yeah.
We love it. So this one's for you, Charul. What are some concrete strategies or tools entrepreneurs can use to manage stress and maintain their mental health while still achieving their ambitious goals?
Okay, I'm not going to give you a 9-to-5 routine or things that you should or should not do. I think we as adults will make a choice as to what works for each one of us. There is plethora of data. If you go Google this online, it will tell you mindfulness works, breathe and sleep and eat healthy and do this and do that. And it's all great. It's great to read it, but how great it would be if you started to apply it, right? Show me with a raise of hand, how many of you read about it, but have, okay? She's raising both her hands. I will not complete my question, but you get it, right? So I think there has come a time where we need to be self-aware of how far are we going to go to take care of ourselves so that we can in turn take care of what it is that we're here to do. If it's your business, if it's somebody else that you work for, if it's a job that you have to fulfill, a project that you take on, does not matter. You can only offer the oxygen mask to other when you put it on yourself, right? You remember that announcement when you take a flight every time? So you got to administer your oxygen first, right? Some tangible actions could be, when you're researching, make notes of what really works for you. I'm not here to tell you what you should do. You know it, what works for you. What is important is that you get down to doing it, right? What has worked for me, I will tell you. I have a morning routine. I used to be somebody who would wake up at 9:30. Now I am a 4 a.m. person, and it has changed my world. It's like you are ahead of time for the rest of the world to catch up, right? If it works for you, give it a shot. Eating healthy is non-negotiable. Sleeping well is non-negotiable. How many hours, what time, I will leave it for you to decide, right? What has really worked for me is the breath work. Everybody knows about breath work?
Yeah.
You don't need a demo, right? But breath work, it really allows you to align yourself and do what you're here to do, right? And most important is finding a network to lean on. you need your cheer group, you need your core support group, you need people that you can tap on, people that you can call on, people who will be there to support you. If you don't have already, you need to create that group. Now, having mentors and coaches and whatnot is separate. What I'm referring to is having your own cheer group. And it does wonders on the days when you need it the most. So those are just some very simple, easy to do tips. But if you wish to explore that with any of us, find us later. But find out what works for you. Give it at least 30 minutes. I'm sure we can spare 30 minutes in 24 hours to start with. If you can expand it later, be my guest. But start with 30 minutes and see how it starts to change you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Charul. So we're just coming up to the end of the panel now. So I'm just going to ask one final question to Fizza and Carol. If you could give one piece of advice to an entrepreneur on the verge of burnout, what would it be?
I would say, one, remind yourself of why you're doing this. Refocus on what's actually important. And two, everything that Charul just said. And I would add on actually spending even 10 minutes a day just acknowledging what you've achieved in that day. And I found that's really helped me because I feel like I'm on an hamster wheel and then I feel like I've done nothing even though I've been busy all day. When I sit down and go, oh, actually, this is what I've achieved. And I sleep better that night and I set a task for the next day that's non-negotiable. And that's really helped me keep focused, not kind of batting away the overwhelm, which leads into burnout.
Love that, love that. And what about you, Fizza?
Well, I will say create a balance between work and life, but then I will get whoo. So I'm going to say just create the harmony between working and taking care of yourself. Because self-care is not a sign of weakness. Actually, it's the sign of strength and sustainability. And we need to really celebrate success stories of those entrepreneurs who managed to create that healthy balance and boundaries between a successful business and startup and a self-care and self-love. So it all starts within. Health is a new wealth. You cannot buy your health, so take care of yourself.
Love it, love it. Health as well. Remember that, guys. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here today. We really hope you found this panel useful. And it's super important to take care of your mental health. But one last thing, there's a lot of power in vulnerability. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here today at the Idea Hub. We've had some fantastic panels today, great nuggets of information. We can't wait to connect with you again tomorrow, where the sessions on Idea Hub start at 11 a.m. So that's 11 a.m. sharp. Don't miss the UF Awards 2025. They will take place in the Traders Arena today at 5:15. So let's celebrate online trading and fintech excellence together. Thank you so much for joining us today. See you tomorrow.